Albert Einstein said, "I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." In Google Trends, the search term war in the Netherlands has only been this high once since 2004. So the question seems to be not if, but when World War III happens.
Wait, there's going to be a third World War, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know, and after World War III, you know, who knows what's left after World War III.
So I spent hours and hours of research to study the pros and cons of many countries during and after a global war, assuming nuclear weapons can be used. And one important thing I found out is how emotional people in each part of the world are. Yes, I know it sounds weird, but war does strange things with people. Let's start with the safest country, Switzerland. The pros. 114% of the population can access a nuclear bunker. To put that in perspective, in Germany only 3%, and in the Netherlands, my home country, we only have the Mergelgrotten in Limburg. By the way, I'm Jordan, 23 years old, did over $3 million in revenue and hired over 50 people. And it's my goal to become a billionaire who is healthy and has loving people around him. To get there faster, I study experts in their fields. And on this channel, I share those golden nuggets with you. So subscribe to learn more. Another pro of Switzerland is that they don't have any nuclear weapons. And there's little strategic reason to invade it. And if they try, they won't come far, because every bridge in the country can be exploded. And the Swiss mountains are very difficult to invade. They have more than 200,000 soldiers, if needed. They have been neutral for more than 200 years. And lastly, most civilians legally own guns. Assuming during wartime you have a 2,000 calorie diet. They can feed around 8 million people at the moment with the current arable land. And they have around 8.8 million people, so you maybe get hungry, but you won't starve. Fun fact, Klaus Schwab lives in Switzerland too. Makes it more safer. Now here are the cons for Switzerland. You maybe have to stay in a bunker for up to 2 weeks, which is doable. And it's very expensive cost of living. Getting to number 2 on my list, New Zealand. The pros. It's very isolated, surrounded by water on all sides. It's far away from any nuclear targets. They don't host any nuclear weapons. They're not strategically important, and their climate is great near the equator, so it won't be as cold during nuclear winters. And they're number 14th on the Food Security Index. And if you wonder who's in the top 5, my home country Netherlands, number 5, then we have France, Norway, Ireland, and Finland on number 1. Now the cons of New Zealand, they're very dependent on imports of refined liquid fuel, so they might not be as self-sufficient in case their machinery breaks. Going to Iceland on number 3. The pros. They're extremely isolated as well. There's lots of geothermal energy. And if you don't know what that means, I didn't know either before this. It's basically using the heat from the earth as electricity. So enough electricity there. They're surprisingly self-sufficient in food. And there's no strategic reason to invade. Now the cons. They have no military. So if you want to invade it, it will be very easy. And it will be very cold during a nuclear winter, with temperatures around minus 10 to 15 degrees. Now in order for you to decide if your current country is safe enough, which I think is a more important question, or to make your own list, here are lots of other facts of safe countries and countries to avoid at all costs. At the end I will also let you know my personal favorite. Let's dive into the emotional map, a very interesting one. Countries like the United States, Canada, Philippines, but also South America are very emotional. Whereas countries like Russia, Ukraine, Belarus and Georgia are the least emotional, not surprising to me. By the way, I send a weekly newsletter where I share more golden nuggets just like these in an easy 2-minute to read format. All for free, click the link below. Criteria number 2, does the country host nuclear weapons? For themselves or for others like the US, according to the nuclear sharing policy. Unfortunately, my home country, the Netherlands, is part of the 5 NATO members who needs to store US nukes, like Belgium, Germany, Italy and Turkey. Number 3, which countries claim to be neutral? A few are Austria, Costa Rica, Ireland, Mexico and Switzerland. Number 4, how isolated are they from potential targets? Think of Iceland surrounded by the North Atlantic Ocean, or Australia and New Zealand. Number 5, the percentage of population able to access a nuclear fallout shelter. Now if we use this criteria as mentioned before, then Switzerland wins hands down, with nuclear bunkers prepared for 114% of the population. Now you may ask, why does Switzerland have so many bunkers? Well, mainly because of the Cold War. In 1963, the government required every new building to have a nuclear shelter, which cost around $10,000 to make. And right now, this is not required anymore. Only if you build a building with more than 38 rooms. However, if you don't have one, you still need to pay around 1,500 francs for 2 people to access a community shelter if needed. Criteria number 6, do they have self-sufficient food supplies in case of a full-fledged nuclear war? And the scenario where all imports are cut off. Brazil would probably rise to the number 1 country in food production, but Australia or the Indonesian islands won't suffer from hunger either. And based on all those things, and other factors, like the direction of wind after a nuclear fallout, or if the country has a military or not, or how well they can manage a nuclear winter with big temperature drops, based on all those things, I hope you can decide for yourself where you want to be during a planetary war. Fortunately, we have people like Elon Musk, who think we can go to Mars 7 years from now, which seems to be the safest place to hide during a war.
A war on Earth, the Mars base might survive. It's more likely to survive than a moon base. But I think a moon base and a Mars base that could perhaps help regenerate life back here on Earth would be really important, and to get that done before a possible World War III.
Now my personal favorite would be Bali, Indonesia, and take a flight to New Zealand if really needed, and if still possible. Unless I decide to reside in Switzerland in the future, then I might pay the annual fee to access a community bunker, or buy my own bunker from a company like this, which could cost anywhere between $15,000 and $80,000, and of course prepare for survival with the Swiss Army knife. But remember, the best way to stay safe in a global war is to prevent it. So if you who are watching this have or will have the power to influence peace or war, use the power wisely.